So, so like I say, what the Filipino guy and some of the others, the black guy, I'm not sure if the Filipino guy actually did it, but what some of the others would do, especially the black guy, who was a self-proclaimed god himself, what he would do is he would take a gun to people's head, to people's head, and he would be like, "Call to your god. Maybe he will save you." And he would put a gun to people's head, and he would say, "Call to your god, and maybe he will save you." Blah blah blah. And he would be like, "Or you can worship me, and I'm right here, and I can save you a lot better." And that's what he would say. And anyway, or they'd put a knife to someone's throat and be like, "Call to your god, and that will save you." Or that might then maybe he'll hear and save you. Anyway, I found out. I watched them all. I watched everything. I found out, well, most of it basically, and I actually had tasked someone with dealing with these people basically, but they were wanting my life forms to call to God, my humans, but they were human themselves, so it's like that's just strange and weird. Or like call to your Lord, maybe he will hear you, blah blah blah. Anyway, they were going around doing this to all my people, and I had, like I said, I had all these like the Titanic. I had Fantasy Island. I had 4 Fantasy Islands, all set up, all nice and beautiful, all done. All built. It was very expensive to have them built. I mean, I paid money to have all these places built. They were constructed with steam engines and stuff like that, and all built really nice. And the airplanes could come in, land, and they could have go into their little huts and have food. And there was a full service food and everything. And I was like, yes, my tourism company, it's going, it's working and stuff. Anyway, so basically, the Filipino asshole and a couple other dicks basically ran around with 3,000 or 30,000 of their people, and they would basically just mob on my little islands or my little tour groups. They would just take like 3,000 people, and they would rape the women, kill the men, and basically make some of them call to their god and stuff like that. Anyway, and then they would steal all the money or all the gold or whatever was useful there at the island, and then they would run off after burning it. Anyway, I tasked a group of mercenaries or some people or one of my armies to basically deal with these people pretty much, and find out who they were or find out who had attacked my islands, my resorts, basically, because I had all these really nice resorts and people loved them, and I had this waiting list that was 3 years long. I had a 3 year long waiting list for people that wanted to go to one of my fantasy islands or one of my other places. I mean, there were bigger places like Pompeii was one of them, but there are other places like Hawaii is a destination spot. There's all these. I had all these destination spots. I had like thousands or lots of destination spots basically that were done really nice. Like my old mines that were really profitable. They'd be like, "Well, what do you want us to do with whatever?" And I'd be like, "Well, why don't we try and do this a little bit? We can start up my tour company." So like I had things sculpted, I had things done, I had all these nice cities built. I had all these tour destination spots like the old rickety mines, that were really big, or the really big mines, showing off all my great works or all my different mines or all the different things, like tall buildings, stuff like that. Things for people to visit, stay, eat, and see. And I had cows taken all over the world to feed these people while they're at my destination spots, basically. Like the Colosseum, stuff like that, all over the world. These epic, beautiful places, basically. Anyway, Filipino guy and Richard Nixon and the black African dude were just basically mobbing around with like 5,000 or 10,000 of his people, basically going and raping and killing all my destination spots. They would run into a town or attack a town and basically steal everything inside of it, kill all the men, rape all the women, and then take off. And then maybe try and burn down the town if they could. Anyway, because they just didn't give a fuck, they were just going all over, and then they would kill and they would make some of the men like call to or the women before, or sometimes they would kill the women, saying call to your god like that, and then they would like slit their throats basically. And what can I say? I heard about it. I found out about it, and it was very nice to see them screaming and crying and begging for mercy for 1,000 years. Like I say, out of all the planets you could fuck with, out of all the epic great leaders to fuck with, I probably am the one you don't want to fuck with. I never did. Many people, when they found out, like I did the unbreakable contract, I did all this kind of stuff. I'm like a trillion years old. I have 7 to 77 races. They say about 700,000 races, basically. That pretty much I created myself. There are 80 galaxies. I mean, as far, and I created humanity, the human type anyway. As far as, forcing people to call to their God before you slit their throat, and then going around calling yourself a self-proclaimed God or self-proclaimed emperor, that is one of those things you don't want to do. Anyway, I found out about it. I'm like, wait a minute. And like I say, I got very upset and very pissed off. And like I say, I found Earth out of all the planets. I just happened to be here too, but I mean, I also found out where I wanted to know where this problem was coming from. So out of all the galaxy, of all the planets, the place that I find the problem is mostly on Earth. From Terran, we looked on, I had all the planets, everything, the whole galaxy searched. And they said Earth. So, pretty much, I think, as being the problem planet, pretty much. And those people right there, basically, that were going around having my life forms call to their God and all that other stuff. I was very upset. And realistically, what I did was I just hired a mercenary group or an army, basically, to go hunt these people down and kill them. Pretty much. I paid them. I paid money. I mean, like I say, I always had money. I always was paying. I'm an inventor. I own the Titanic. So lots of money and lots of weapons. And pretty much I had these people hunted down and killed. I moved on to the next life where I would take care of them myself, which I believe I did. Tortured them for about 1,000 years. Anyway, like I say, on the scale of 1 to 10 of things you shouldn't do, having a life form called to their God and then proclaiming yourself God is probably one of those ones that you shouldn't do. Anyway, since I am the real Lusifer White Star Line, anyway, I'm probably the oldest and biggest, and it doesn't really matter really. I mean, I'm also an inventor, a leader. I own America, Germany. My life forms love me. I owned a lot of epic, great big, huge mines. Too, I had 4 life forms a long time ago, and then I just kind of kept on creating. I create particles. I also invented the particle physics for the universe, basically. Probably invented the particle physics for the universe. That's basically what I did. Is I realized a certain way or certain things that could be done within the universe or whatever, and then I did that. And I started it, basically. And that's what sets me apart from everyone else, and that's why I'm epically old and all that other stuff. So anyway, and like I said, I always had teams. I had British. I had a lot of other people, and they were like, these people are psychopaths. We need to do something about them. And they basically started doing it. And basically the Filipino guy was like, whoa, do retaliation, blah, blah, blah. And they were just basically retaliating on my generals. But there's always another one. And they were blah, 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 pretending like they had God or a president. And they had like... They didn't have the real American president on their side or the real leader of Germany on their side. They had nothing. They were just con artists and liars. And because, like I say, I built Germany, I built Russia, I built Australia, I built all of them, basically. It was all my money that I was just moving around doing things, my teams, basically. So when a group of people just grabbed some guns and just started running amok, well, I dealt with it. I paid lots of money to have it dealt with. Open contract. Go take care of these people. Find the psychos. And pretty much I believe that did happen. Anyway, Lusifer White Star Lines, the White Star Line company, which was a worldwide company that had their own farms and everything else, dealt with it. Plus America or Germany or Britain. Pick any of the countries pretty much, and I own them all. So, psychopaths and people just mobbing around killing people is just basically a worldwide problem. So... that's why those Filipino guys. Plus, his wife was like, "Help me! He's an abuser," and they said that he was abusive and all that, and a killer, and a rapist. So they went and took care of him. I've been doing it for a lot of years. Desert Fox, all that kind of stuff. Anyway, psychopaths are everyone's problem. So, and mine. So anyway, and they were also having the people call to their god. So I just want to tell you, yeah, I know. I knew about it, and they were dealt with.